All right. Man, guys, I just want to take a second to introduce you guys to the team. Obviously with CJJF Texas, I think we're coming up on our sixth, maybe seventh year in training. Man, we're super excited about this CJJF Open. But man, I realize that not a lot of people have had a chance to at least last 3 years or so get a chance to meet you, Cav. Now that you're here in Texas, and then of course, Soneca. Man, I want to introduce you guys, and then I really want to hear the history behind the CJJF Open and the vision and mission of why we think this is something that's very important. So, but Cav, why don't you talk about yourself a little bit? Tell your people your background, man. People want to know who you are, your history
Thank you,
a little
brother.
bit, and then we'll let Marcus talk here a little bit too.
Yeah, man. So, thank you, John, for inviting me and Soneca, talk a little bit about this new project here in Texas. So, you study CJJF in-house tournament, right? CJJF Open between 1996 1997. It's a long time ago, all right? And the good thing for this tournament is we introduce people for the first tournament, right? Like that's the idea because I know it's a big jump, right? When people try think about the fight or fight the tournaments, they go to the big tournament, the first one. That one is a the same you chose somebody else in the Shark Tank, all right? You try help people first, they go step by step, all right? And the good thing for the in-house tournament is I remember back the days, like we have a lot black belts. They only compete in house tournament long time ago. And I have a lot white belts. They started in the house tournament, and after that they became a world champion. That's crazy. But they started with in-house tournament first. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so you guys started the in-house tournament. You said 1996, 1997?
Between that, yes, the
Man,
first
that's
ones.
that's amazing. Kev, tell people because I know we have a lot of students who are like big UFC fans. Who are some of the champions that you've trained over the years?
So we have a guys. We have a lot. We have 200 black belts compete tournaments for this past 30 years. But now people talk a lot about UFC as well, right? Like you have four black belts fight UFCs. Igor Araújo, he stopped fight a couple years ago. We still have a Matheus Nicolau. We have a Dois Anjos, Rafael Dos Anjos. We have a Paulo Costa, the big guy. All right, he's a CGF black belt. We have a lot of guys fight UFC. They train with us in the CJJF Association.
That's awesome, man. And so, so you're saying these guys started with the in-house tournament,
Yeah,
worked their way
everybody
through
compete in
bigger
house tournaments.
tournaments. Yeah, yeah, man. I don't know if
Yeah.
I don't think I had it. Did we, Sonaka, when we had the when you were here in Texas? I don't recall us running an in-house tournament. Did we run those? It's been a
Yeah, we
long
did
time.
one at the old Grace Gym, but you guys, I don't remember that if you fought or if you were just a referee, but we
Oh,
did
I think I
have
was.
we
Yeah.
did have a couple matches. Some of the guys that nowadays are black belts, running schools, became like good competitors later on too. They all were like white belts, beginners, and they were able to fight like Kev told, the tournament. It's a tool for us to give that student that maybe is not sure that like he's really want to compete, or for that guy that want to compete but want to try first time. We all know that first time everything you do in life is hard. You have the jitters. You have everything that comes as any tournament, could be like a big one, could be a small one. So just the fact that you're having those feelings, you're having the opportunity to to do that for the first time, or even for second and third time, but you're still not used to it. You use that in-house tournament as a tool for those guys have that experience, and for sure it's a big part of our curriculum, for our students that are training under the CAGF curriculum, have that experience because it changed your jiu-jitsu completely, for the training, more focus on that tournament rules, for the fact that you're going to step under pressure, everyone's going to be watching you perform. So that those little details that you're able to overcome, you're gonna help a lot on your jiu-jitsu journey later on. So it's very important tool that we develop to add on the curriculum, and for sure for those guys that are really willing to go for big tournaments, have that as the first experience, and use that to be ready for when it's time for a big one.
Yeah, man, you said something that I know it kind of got a little off top. I want to go back to your guys' history a little bit too, but man, I think that you told this to me a while ago when I first started teaching kids, the importance of kids being able to, well, not just kids, but kids and adults, but the importance of utilizing something like an in-house tournament to give the students the ability to test what they've learned under realistic conditions, not only from a development tool, right? Learning how to deal with the emotions, the anxiety, the nerves, the fear, all these things, because if something happens to students, God forbid, in real life, this is what they're going to feel, right? Probably at a higher level, right? There's no way to replicate a real life scenario, but competition becomes like the closest thing that we get to do to test that, but in a very safe and controlled environment. So I think that's, my heart really lies on the kids from a development standpoint. And I think it's critical, man. I think they have to learn how to be able to perform this and under I say, high stress conditions, right? Obviously, we understand that they're going to be safe and nothing's going to happen to them, but because it's their first experience, it's the first time they get to feel that anxiety, the nerves, and these kind of things, right? And I think that once they have a chance to kind of run through something like this, man, it just makes them so much stronger, not just physically, but more mentally.
Man, it's
Yeah.
because what people don't realize, John, and especially the people that don't have much experience. I will leave that message for the parents as well. I used to do that knowledge a lot on MMA. When people ask me about MMA, on how hard, for me, in my opinion, MMA it's one of the hardest sports in the world, because I try to explain to people for the first fight in a small tournament or whatever, maybe for no money, it's exactly the same feeling, the same nervous, the same anxiety that you're gonna have on the UFC level. So that's crazy. So you think it's completely the same, man, and we translate that feeling to jiu-jitsu too. The anxiety, the nervous, all those feelings that come from that day of show up, to go to a tournament, to go to perform, to go to try to win. All that anxiety that comes with it is the same. It's the same on any
Yeah, no
environment.
matter what. Yeah, I
No
think
matter
that's
what.
just to let everyone know who's watching. Professor Marcus has worked for the UFC. How long you worked for the UFC, Professor?
More than 10 years.
10 years. Yeah, so a long time, obviously. I may have mentioned this already, but I already forgot. But yeah, Professor Marcus was my instructor, and I can say that, out of all of the people that I've had the privilege of training with, I've trained with guys like Iago de Souza, with Ricardo Dimanche, a lot of guys nowhere near to the level of the guys that you've trained with Roger. I remember stories you tell me of Roger Gracie, Romulo Barral, Braulio Estima, all these guys, right? And man, there's nobody who I believe teaches better than Professor Marcus, man. I think for me, he was the greatest influence on my own jiu-jitsu. He's the reason why CJJF, is what it is today. He's the president of the entire global network of CJJF. And what's amazing is that, sorry, I'm getting off topic, but looking back to what you were saying, Marcus, with the anxiety and the nerves that people feel in competition, whether it's amateur MMA, which I've had the privilege of fighting myself, to basic tournaments, it's the same level of anxiety and nerves you got to deal with to reach the big levels. Why do you feel, and we kind of touched on this a little bit too, but Marcus, you tend to articulate things really well in this field. Um, I think something's important too, just to give some of our viewers an idea. We have a school in Brazil, in Belo Horizonte. A lot of CJJFs in Brazil, but there's our main school in Brazil, in Belo Horizonte. Um, we had a psychologist that we hired to do studies on jiu-jitsu and the impacts that it has on kids and their development, right? So it's not just teaching kids how to fight. We're really focusing on how to develop the human being and using jiu-jitsu as the tool to do that. So kind of going back to the competition, Marcus, and you said something to me the other day, or you positioned it in a way that made so much sense to me. But what is the main reason why you think the competition is so important for like kids specifically? And then how does that difference between like the adults?
Yeah, so going back now, you touched on a important point, talking about that study that we did here and we're still doing here in Brazil, working not just with the jiu-jitsu training, but together with the schools developing and tracking the development of the kids on and off the mat after they start doing jiu-jitsu, and and then for sure the feedback's crazy, because it's funny because we all know what we all knew that, right? We lived that, like we were like kids, we all came with like any other human, anxiety, all the problems that everyone carries, and for sure, jujitsu was a tool for us to overcome those problems, and be able to be the human we are, So we knew that we knew how jujitsu was positive on that helping of development the human part, but we never had a real research on it done by a professional, So we had the opportunity to work with Luciana on that project. She's a psychologist. She's specialized in kids, in kids with autism, so she had like a very, very good experience, and she was crazy about our project, and she was able to see how the jiu-jitsu helped and changed the kids, not just physically and inside the mat, but outside the mat as well, in school, getting better grades, being able to feel more calm during tests, and all that good stuff, But like I said, we work, on the background of everything that sometimes people don't realize what we actually doing, because sometimes a parent go there and just see the class happening, and we see like doing the same stuff, repeat, and train. Sometimes you see a kid maybe not doing well on that class. Sometimes you see other kids doing better, and you as a parent get frustrated. The kid get frustrated, and it's normal, But what we're really doing behind the scenes, we're using all the tools that we have in hand to help that kid go through everything in life, not just inside the mat, and the experience and the feelings that they're learning over there inside the mat, they're able to take that off the mat and bring it to other aspects of their life and help them a lot on the human side of development. And once they become adults, they will be able to be more calm. They're going to be able to be that guy that have high confidence, all those that jiu-jitsu guys that do jiu-jitsu for a long time carry with him, and we know that by experience, So going back and talking about the tournament, on that behind the scenes work that we do, it's one of the most important tools that we have inside our curriculum. Why? Because we put the kid or the adult or everyone that are training under the curriculum out of the comfortable zone. Like we see now that's trending, and we see everyone's talking about, oh, get out of comfortable zone, get out of comfort. It's a trending topic, right? But we learned that as a kid with Kev, like, oh, you like to do guard? Okay, now today you're just playing top position. Oh, you love to do half guard. Okay, 1 month without doing half guard. So we learned that as a kid. Whatever position we like to stay there, he'll be, okay, you're not doing this today. Go back and do different. So getting someone out of the comfortable zone, put them to face the unpredictable, to face something that they're not waiting for. And for sure, on the other side, in a control environment. We make sure we control the environment to put them on that position, but also safe, no risk of a bad experience, no risk of getting matched with someone much better than them. They're just gonna run them over. We make sure that we cover the whole environment so everyone can have a good experience, but at the same time, we're taking them out of comfortable zone. You're taking them to train and fight under pressure. So we bring in all those different conditions. They're gonna help them a lot to develop later on their jiu-jitsu journey inside the gym and as a person as well. So all the time that sometimes we talk about tournament, talking about, so the tournament for us, especially the in-house one, it's a very important tool for everyone that is training inside our curriculum, being able to develop, because jiu-jitsu is a very dynamic sport. We cannot let like you on the same line, at the same time. You need to face the unpredictable. You need to try different things because that's jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu, it's facing the unpredictable. You never know what the other guy gonna do. It's a chess game as life. So that's why it relates so well, and that's why jiu-jitsu is such a powerful tool because it helps the kids, the adults to develop as humans to face the problems in life.
But man, 100%. I always love the way that you articulate that. I'm glad we're recording this because I'm going to use this and make sure that I use this when I talk to people. Um, yeah, man. So one of the things that I've always, I talk about with parents when they enroll. We do Zoom calls with everybody that we enroll. We talked about this, you and I, a lot, and I think that's one of the things that we really try to articulate or communicate with parents is like, look, this is not just an activity. This is a development tool, something that we want to help kids learn to deal with the struggles of life, learning how to control their emotion, right? How to control the reaction based off the emotion, learning how to deal with adversity and overcome struggling situations. And for sure, we want them to have fun. But I believe we live in a world today where like it's so hard for kids to learn how to struggle. It's so easy for them to just be comfortable, right? I literally can sit, you guys can't see behind me, but I'm just at my desk. I could make money, I could order food, entertain, everything, just sitting here. I don't have to do nothing. So I think with kids these
Yeah.
days, it's so important that they have something like jujitsu in general, right? Not just the competition piece of it, but jujitsu to learn how to struggle, how to learn how to suffer, learn how to do hard things, learn how to socialize, right? And then the competition side of it, when you're saying it's part of the curriculum of like stepping outside your comfort zone, um, performing under pressure, man, this is life, and I think it's important that our parents, and this is why I love doing this because I wanted to make sure that um, I wanted them to hear not just from me, but from you guys as well. And just to kind of go back to Cav, you've been doing jujitsu since you were 8 years old. You're how old now? 47,
32, 32, 32.
65.
65. No, but you've been doing jiu-jitsu for how long? Almost
Yeah,
40 years?
I started like 8, 9 years old, 40 years complete. Yeah, I
40
do
years
jiu-jitsu.
jiu-jitsu. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
Soneca, you've been doing jiu-jitsu for how long?
I've been doing since I'm 15, 14 years old to 44, 30 years.
30 years. And then you guys, Soneca, I know you've been a black belt for how long? Your fifth degree?
I'm fifth degree, 5 degrees off.
So what is that? That's 15 plus 9, 24 years as black belt. Now this is the thing that why I asked this question, because the students know I've been doing jiu-jitsu for almost 21 years. In some capacity, right? MMA, jiu-jitsu together collectively 21 years. You guys have been black belts doing this longer than of all of my training combined. And so the reason I say that is because I think it's important that our students, our members, our parents understand what is being taught to their kids, what is being brought to the adults comes from a very vast history of jujitsu. Can you guys talk a little bit about, and I don't, Sonaka, I know you told me some stories, but can you talk a little bit about just kind of your jujitsu background, like who you trained with, obviously with Cav and the Gracies? I think that's an important connection for people to understand too.
Yeah, Kev can start first. Go
Let's go,
ahead, Kev. You're the
Caveirinha.
oldest. You're the oldest one. You do it. I
So,
came. I came later on. I came later on in life.
so yeah, I started jiu-jitsu with the Grace family, like the same you would say, like maybe 8, 9 years old. And I remember like I saw Ralph Gracie as a purple belt, you know what I mean? When I started, Ryan Grace is a blue belt juvenile, Márcio Feitosa is a yellow belt. I remember these guys, everybody's it's like they're higher belt for me because I'm young for them. But I still remember, see everybody, like a Jacolino, purple belt, Gordo, brown belt. I remember these guys, like everybody
What
back in the days.
what belt was Hanzo? I remember you because Hanzo was there.
No, Hans it was a black belt. When I
He's
started,
black belt already.
he's a black,
Okay,
yeah, black belt, yes.
man, that's
Yeah,
cool.
Hanzo.
How old is I know our students know some of the like real famous names, you know, like I know we know like deep jujitsu, but some guys they don't know these guys. But like Hanzo Gracie, because you know he's funny. Everyone knows Hanzo. Hodger Gracie. How old was Hodger when you met him?
Oh, first time I met Roger is like a little baby, man.
Yeah, a little
Like a,
tiny kid, right? Because you
yeah,
trained before Hodger trained.
yeah, yeah. And when I was a purple belt, I started teaching jiu-jitsu in Gracie Barra in the Rio de Janeiro, in the headquarters. Was a purple belt. Roger Gracie is a yellow belt.
Wow,
You
that's
know what I mean?
crazy.
Why I teach him? He's more boy. You know what I mean?
You're the reason he's like 10-time world champion. Caveirinha taught him.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm just kidding.
But he's a very talented guy, man. He's a
Yeah.
unbelievable talent boy, you know. But he started smash everybody's a purple belt. Until blue belt he started get good, but after purple belt, oh my goodness. He
Smash
smashed
everyone.
all black belts on the gym. Yeah.
That's crazy. It's just amazing to me, man, the history. I try to tell some of the students the stories you guys have told me in the old days. You know, obviously not having direct experience in Brazil, but it blows everyone's mind, man. You know. So Neca, you always the same thing you told me. I remember you telling me stories about training with guys like Braulio and Romulo Barral and him, how he would like apologize to you before training because he was getting ready for
Yeah,
competition. You know,
exactly.
all these different things. But yeah, it's yeah. Anyway, I just wanted the students and parents
So
to
Joe,
understand that, like,
before
yeah,
I finish, let me something come to my mind now. I'll talk about the in-house tournament thing. I think the parents they need to remember something important, okay? So in the house tournament, that's the only way we can prove to the parents the kids learn something good.
mm,
You know what I mean?
yeah, that's
Because
a good point.
uh, they need to understand when they bring the students, the kids or the for the house tournament, that's the only way they can see how his kids get like a better. We talk about better, but it's a better on the mat, in the house. You know what I mean? For everything, because you just help only. It's not only on the mat, but help outside the mat a lot. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like, go ahead, please, about this match you have.
I want to say one thing real quick because yeah, because you said something, Kat, that I think was important. You know, talking about it's the way that parents get to see their progress, right? They get to see though,
Yes.
because in class we're teaching like a technique, right? They get to go sparring.
Yeah.
But man, it's just so different when you're in front of people, they deal with the nerves, they deal with the anxiety, all those kind of things. Um,
Yeah.
it really is a test. It's a test to see how they perform, not just
Exactly.
with the emotion and the technical side and all these different things as well. Um,
Yeah.
there is no
And what is
substitute. Yeah.
important too, John and Kat, that people always forget. This couple weeks ago, I had the opportunity to meet the Facebook guy, right? Mark Zuckerberg, which is in love with jiu-jitsu and all that stuff, and he brought something out. He said, "Oh, what made him fall in love with jiu-jitsu is because all of a sudden he wasn't the best guy in the room anymore. So
Mm,
he was in a point of life that he always the best guy in the room. Everybody just want to listen to him, and all of a sudden he was getting smashed." On the mat, putting him in a position of he am nobody, and he said that conditioning he liked it. He wanted to feel that, and that's one of the points that's why he fell in love for jiu-jitsu. And that's why it's an important point, and that's very powerful in jiu-jitsu because sometimes in other sports. You need to work people out so they don't lose, right? Oh, you can lose about winning, 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 winning. And in jiu-jitsu, it's impossible. Since your day one, you're losing.
yeah.
You're losing, you're getting submit, even your champion on a blue belt level, but you're getting submit by the brown belt, so it's kind of tricky because you're never like undefeated, nobody
Ever.
beats me, like so. So that
Man,
humble, people's off because you know that you're not unbeatable, you know that you're not invincible, and then sometimes you go to a tournament and just the fact you're stepping in, you overcome your anxiety, you overcome everything, and you're stepping in, winning or losing, it's already a progression.
man,
So the result doesn't matter. What matters that you step there, you did your best, you compete, you try, winning or losing, you did it. Maybe win, maybe go back with a gold medal, maybe go back with a silver medal, maybe don't go back with a medal, but you stepped in. And just the fact you stepped in, already change your life, already change your progress in jiu-jitsu and all that good
man,
stuff. So that's
it's
something important that people need to understand, because sometimes we talk about tournament, we talk about winning, we talk about gold medals, but it's not the actually goal. The actually goal for that is what we told, stepping in, overcome your anxiety, going there, trying to perform under pressure, trying to perform in front of people. Boom, that's the goal.
it's such a
So that's what is
it's
very important for everyone to understand that.
man, 100%. I would argue to say jujitsu in general, right? Not just competition, but competition I think is don't know how to articulate it very well. It's not the highest level, but the idea that failure is a part of the process to success is something that is so important to me to ingrain into the kids to help them get comfortable with the idea of failure, right? Everybody, all humans, right? Adults, kids, nobody likes to fail. Nobody likes to lose. We fear judgment from other people. And I think the one thing that has taught me, and I'll speak just from my own experience and how jujitsu's impacted my life real quick. And Soneca, you've kind of seen this path as I was, training under you. But I'm not afraid to take risk. I'm not afraid to fail because I understand that if I just learn from the failure, I can pivot and keep moving, and I'll find my way to success. And I relate this a lot into the business world now, right? Running and operating gyms. I'm not on the mat as much as I used to be. You know this. You're same calf, same for you, right? You've been running schools before I was probably born. Just because you're an old man, you're 65 years old, so you've been doing this a long time. But I had a school, and I tell the story. I had me and Dr. Matt, right, Professor Matt. We had a school under the Atos flag in like 2014. We had it for a year, and it failed. We lost money, it didn't work, and most people would say like, "Oh man, you gave your shot. Don't do it again. It's a bad idea." And it was easy to take that route, but man, I had such a passion for jujitsu. I think at the time I was competing, and thanks to you and to Neil, were pushing me to try again. And I did, and I learned from the last time. We were able to find success, with the first location and prosper. And now it's become, we have 5 locations here, the Select team, we have the school in Brazil that we're able to. And not only that, but people don't notice like the change that we've had around CJJF around the globe because of the fact that I wasn't going to quit on the first time failing. And I think that kids and adults understanding that process, and especially if we can teach it at a young age, competition becomes such an amazing opportunity to show that, right? Because you're right. You can be a monster in the gym, right? Because I always like when I talk about my competition when I was younger, I was a terrible competitor in my early bouts. I was decent in the gym, and I was terrible in competition because I didn't know how to deal with the anxiety, and I had fear of failure, and I had fear of judgment, all these different things. And it wasn't until probably, I don't know, purple belt where I started to compete a little better, and I competed better as a black belt. But all of that is because of jujitsu and what has taught me that, man, you're only a loser if you quit. But if you use these obstacles, these failures as stepping stones, and get comfortable with this process, get comfortable with taking risk and trying and failing and learning and keep going, you never lose. You're always going to find the success if you have this mentality. And every level of jujitsu teaches this. Black belt. I've trained with guys. You too. You tell me this, right? We trained with Yago. I trained with Hodger. Well, I was a blue belt when I trained with Hodger, but when I was a black belt, trained with Yago, Demanchi. Some of these guys. I go, man, they killed me. I go, so we always tap in jujitsu, and I think because of that process of competing in jiu-jitsu, we've learned like, man, it's not the end of the world. We learn, we tap, we say, man, how'd you do that? Doesn't keep us from fighting hard. We keep pushing, right? We keep trying, but I go, how'd you do that? Oh man, okay, do this. Ah, thank you. I got better now versus beating myself up like, oh, I'm a loser, I'm terrible, I can't do it. And this is a mentality that's so natural for humans to have, especially children, that if we can overcome that at a young age, man, we're just setting them up for success. And I think it's hard for parents to understand and see that because most adults were not able to make that change as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And also, John, what's very important for us also. So for sure, we talk about all the benefits, we talk about all the, even for adults, kids, that uh, it's a good opportunity, to test your skills, to go there, feel how it looks like, gonna have nice medals, you're gonna have a nice tournament shirt. So for sure, it's a good experience. But at the same time, man, we need always to remember. So all the time that we do a tournament, our in-house tournament, it's a day of celebration. It's a day of us being there together. Being there for each other. Even if I'm not fighting, no problem. Go there to support my friend that is fighting. I help him on the training. That's other important to realize, man. If you're a part of the gym, you're training there every day. If you're not competing, man, you have the same important for everyone else because you're being a training partner for someone that is competing. You're talking about the rules, you're understanding the rules. You're talking about points. You're helping him develop his tools for the tournament. So just the fact you participate on that class that is special for tournament, it already helps you on your progress. And on that day, man, it's for that day for everyone being there, support each other, so we can all meet, we can all talk, we can all have a laugh together. That's our moment, that's that part of the year that we are there to celebrate, to see our kids trying hard, to congratulate all the kids winning, losing, getting medals, not getting medals. We are there, we are having fun, we are laughing, we are hugging each other, we are doing the seminar, we're gonna be all there together, learning, teaching, so it's our celebration day. It's very important for everyone, try to be there, even if you're not competing, be there for the support, be there for be part of the community, be there to shake Cav's hand. I know that he's ugly, but he's a nice guy. He's not gonna bite nobody. So just be there, guys. Let's go. Let's have fun together. Let's be there for each other. We are family. Never forget that. The name of our team is Caveirinha Jiu Jitsu Family, and there's a purpose on that. To really wanna our message inside our mission. It's make sure everyone that trains under our curriculum feels part of a family. Feels that we are there for each other. We are there to help each other. We are friends. We are community. So we it's very important if everyone is there. For support, to be part of the community, and for sure, having fun with us.
100%, man. I think that's one thing that for me, I tell people this all the time, man. For me personally, the most valuable part about jujitsu, man, is the community. It's the people, right? It's who I get to interact with every single day, who I get to share stories with, sweat with, suffer with, right? Have fun with, help support them, guide them, is the community, man. It's the reason why I think this is something that I've committed over half my life to at this point. And I think it's important that parents understand that too. I know we're kind of jumping back on that real quick, but everyone looks at this as an individual sport, like it's not a team sport. Man, it is individual for sure from a competition perspective, like it's one versus one, but you cannot do jujitsu by yourself. So this teaches the
Yeah.
teamwork, this teaches the camaraderie, the community, the socializing, all these different things. Oh, did we lose Soneca? I think he dropped out real quick. Maybe he'll come back on, but we teaches all of these things to the kids. Um, on top of all the other things that we talk about as well, being able to
Yeah,
be happy for someone, like if I lose my match, I can still be very happy that Caveirinha won.
yeah.
Man, I help him become a champion, like
So John, very important you mentioned that, you say that because for my experience in tournaments, I learned that since I'm a kid, or since I'm like 10 years old. when you compete, when you try, you never lost. You always learn. You know what I mean?
100%.
You never lost. You always learn, right? You win, okay, I'm champion. That's very good. But what about the next tournament? What about the next? What about the next? The next, the next. Nobody win all the time. Nobody win everything. All right. And that's supposed to people try because
Yeah.
I told you
100%.
there's amazing time. It's like a CJJF day, you know, like a come enjoy, have fun. Let's go enjoy the day.
I love it, man. Yeah, Cav, man, thanks so much. I know Marcus fell off. I'm
Thank
sure
you,
his
brother.
battery died or something. But yeah, guys, so man, come join us. Come have fun. If you've never competed before, man, come compete. We're gonna make sure we partner you well. Parents, get your kids involved. I promise you, they will grow so much by doing jiu-jitsu. We're gonna be there to help them, guide them, motivate them. It'll be an amazing experience. We want everyone to be a part of the first annual CJJF in-house open tournament. All right, and we'll be doing this more. So, all right, Cav, thanks so much, guys.